Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, Say What's Real TV. This review is for Tyler Perry's Zatima Season 2, Episode 13, Never Too Late. So we open up the episode where we left off last week with Fatima going into Dr. Reed's office only to find Zach, his mom, and Jeremiah sitting up in there. And basically, Zach pulled a Fatima on Fatima and tricked her up in there. He's begging her to stay. She's like, no, I gotta go. And Dr. Reed, stay only if you want to. So reluctantly, she decided to stay. So now that everybody is seated, Miss Gladys blurts out, this better not be no damn intervention. So Dr. Reed is like, Mrs. Taylor. She's like, who the F you calling Taylor? So she feels the need to let us know the whole breakdown of the family tree. She is a Davis. Zach is the Taylor and Jeremiah is a Matthews. I'm like, okay, let me write all this down. Duly noted. So Dr. Reed, he went to apologize because I guess how dare you call her anything but Gladys Davis. And she told him to get your ish together. So she looked at Zach and said, I thought you told me you was going to give me some money. He said, and I will. Now, Jeremiah over there rocking back and forth like he radio talking about, I want some money too. And I'm like, well, when did his character change? How you go from being such a bully and so aggressive to being this meek, mild, strung out drug addict, all curled up in the corner talking like that? When did this happen? And the crazy part about it is Miss Gladys allegedly been doing crack since they were kids, and I can't even tell she high. She just mean as hell. As she curse everybody out and drag on her cigarettes. So why is Jeremiah all of a sudden so strung out? And we can see it. So Zach, he tried to give the money for Dr. Reed to hold until the end of the session. And Dr. Reed basically let him know, you're not going to get the results that you need because the motivation is money. So you want truth and honesty. That's just not the way to go. Jeremiah decided he wanted to take offense to that, saying, oh, what you think this family don't have truth and honesty? So they go into this whole back and forth spiel, him and Zach, because we always got to constantly hear that he did time for Zach, and he feels like Zach owes him something. So he says, look, Zach was facing 20 years, and he took the charge for him. So Zach was like, well, what about all those charges that I took for you? All those strong arm robberies from the age of 9 to 17. So Jeremiah, he over there rocking like, well, you got off, didn't you? I guess because he was a juvenile, he wouldn't get charged as if he was an adult. So how much older is Jeremiah over Zach? So Zach was like, yeah, you and Ma, y'all took the money, and I didn't know where you guys were. I was in the house, basically left to fend for myself. So now they done got Miss Gladys started, and she looks at Zach like, oh, so you trying to say all this my fault? She said, I'm going to tell you this one more time like I done told you before. I gave birth to you. Anything after that, you on your own. So Zach says the first time he's ever heard that was at the age of 7. And now Miss Gladys feels like she's being judged by Dr. Reed and Fatima. I don't know how Fatima got in there, but this is when she started calling her all kind of bees. And Zach finally put his foot down and told her, don't call her out her name, finally. Gladys gets to telling Zach, look at Fatima. She don't want you. She don't want you. Nobody ever wanted you. So she tells Zach of the time she took him to see the guy that she thought was his father. And the guy was like, I don't want that mofo. And kicked her so hard that she almost dropped Zach out of her arms. And nobody wants to hear that their parents don't want them. It's very sad and it's very hurtful. So with learning that, you realize why Zach may have so much pain and anger inside of him, because at the end of the day, no child asked to be here. So in that moment, I kind of wanted Zach to mention to his mom that he just found out that he has a son out there and he plans on breaking the cycle and trying to be the best father to Michael that he can, no matter what he endured as a child, all the pain and suffering with her and the lack of love that she showed. And at the end of the day, Gladys probably wouldn't give a damn to know that she has a grandchild out there. But sometimes certain things make people want to change and want to clean up and get their act together, but you just never know. So Zach, he basically lets his mom and Jeremiah know that he is done. he is hurting and dying inside, trying to love them the best that he can. And it's just not working, and he's tired. He damn near lost the best thing that's happened to him, which is Fatima trying to love them. And because of the things that she's done and caused, it's affecting his relationship. So his mom is like, oh, and to think that I almost aborted you, and this the thanks that I get. Zach had to let her know, look, the only reason you kept me was to get that government check every month. So Gladys, she told Zach that who did he think he talking to, and she'll slap the dog crap out of him. Dr. Reed had to let all of them know there would be no violence up in here. So at this point, Gladys was done. She said, give me my money, snatched the money out of Zach's hand, and her son Jeremiah, they just skedaddle on up out the door. I would actually love to know what is Gladys's backstory. We do know that Zach, he holds possessions from his grandfather, which has to be Gladys's dad, because we just learned we don't know who his dad is. So the items that he have is what Karen sat and lost and found, and he really wanted those items back. So what exactly was the relationship between Gladys and her dad? Like, what was that like? When did she actually turn to this lifestyle to where she doesn't give a damn about anybody but the drugs and the street life? So back in Dr. Reed's office, he is commending Zach for doing an excellent job being able to bring his mom and brother in and letting them know exactly how he feels and where he stands. Dr. Reed tells him that he has a lot of clients where it has taken them months, a long time, to be able to get to that point. And he wants him to let Fatima know why he felt it was urgent for her to be there to see that. So Zach, he tells Fatima that he cannot lose her. He does not want to lose her because he would not be able to bear it. Now, to me, it's coming off a little like unhealthy, like if I can't have you, I don't know if I even want to continue to live type talk. That's what is given to me. So then Zach goes on to say that if Fatima decides to leave him, then that would mean that his mom and Jeremiah would win after all the things that they have done to him. And I just feel like, Zach, you're going to have to take accountability for your actions, the things that you've done as a grown adult to attribute to this relationship not working. Are you 100% at fault? No, you're not. But you're here in this office right now because of something that you allowed. You're trying to blame this relationship not working on outsiders when clearly you told this lady that you slept with somebody else, which is a deal breaker for her. And you allow her to believe that. And you still haven't yet in her face, as you speak your truth, tell her that you did not do that. So Fatima, she tells Zach that she does love him. She gives him major points for, willing to do the therapy thing, bringing his parents in. Tells him how it took her a long time to be able to bring her parents in when she was going through her therapy. And once she did that, she saw the changes, but it took some time, letting him know it doesn't happen overnight and it's not going to happen overnight. And he's like, please don't say but, because you can hear it coming on. So she had to let him know, look, Zach, this has to be for you. It can't be for me, because you just said that you did this because you didn't want to lose me. So Zach was like, well, I don't want to lose you. I can't lose you. And then Fatima goes into this thing where, Zach, I just didn't understand why you acted like that on the elevator. You were so mean to me. I was a little baffled by that being what she felt was the most hurtful thing that has happened between them, because I didn't see it like that. Now, had she said when she was trying to support him in the whole hospital thing, I get that. That was very hurtful. To sit there and try to be there for someone and support someone, to have them kick you out, yelling and screaming to the top of their lungs like they done lost their damn mind, and you take it upon yourself to return a check on them, which I would have never did in the first place. But when she gets back to the hospital to check on him, he hugged up with Connie, the same one that you said you had sex with and did it real good. So yeah. That would have been what I would consider the most hurtful thing. Now, the elevator thing, I don't know, because Zach got on the elevator, instantly became jealous, and accused her of being on her knees with Paul. Like, I I guess, like, she clearly knows she wasn't doing anything, so I don't really see that being as hurtful as that hospital scene. So Zach, he starts apologizing, and both of them, they're crying. Fatima tells him she understands now his abandonment issues listening to how Miss Gladys talks to him. And when Zach feels like Fatima is choosing someone else over him, it reminds him of his mother. Now, for me, that statement doesn't make any sense because I don't recall a time where Fatima has actually chosen someone else over him. But anyway, for the sake of the scene, Fatima has to let him know, look, Zach, I'm not your mom, which he did yell that to her in the argument they had back at the house. You're just like the person that you judge. You're just like her. So Fatima letting him know, look, I'm not her. I would never treat you like that. So Fatima let him know, like, a lot of the stuff that you were doing and saying was very hurtful, and it shut some things down in me. And Zach over there begging and pleading and crying and saying, oh, so what, you don't love me? She just told you she loved you, Zach, so let's not do that. We're not going to play that game. She just sat here and said, I love you. The point of the matter is, it's not going to happen overnight that she just going to run back to your arms. That's all it means. She loves you. She cares about you, but you hurt her, and you need to recognize that and give her the space that she needs. So the conversation isn't getting any easier, and Fatima is like, look, I got to go. So keep in mind, Fatima got bamboozled into this therapy session, and she was at work and on her lunch break. So she told the doc, look, I got to go. Can you please just talk to him and explain to him what time it is? So Dr. Reed, he tries to talk to Zach, letting him know, look, he uses the analogy of a house and circuit breakers when they trip and the house goes dark, letting Zach know, look, you have to find your way through the darkness to be able to get the lights turned back on, and you're going to have to put in the work. And saying that Fatima, she's done a lot of work, but she hasn't, turned off all of her lights completely. So you're going to have to make the necessary changes. Zach is over there talking about, I need her. I don't want to be in the dark anymore. I've been in the dark all my life by myself. And like the doctor said, you're just going to have to, work towards making those changes, but you'll eventually get there. So we head over there to the law firm where Fatima is sitting in her car, apparently trying to gather her thoughts before she goes back to work, trying to get herself together. And up walks Paul out of nowhere. Like, why is Paul still at the law firm? I thought he came to get his tools and was headed to his new work site. Why is he here in the garage? Like, it makes no sense. So he notices that she's upset and crying. Ask her if she wants to talk about it. She tells him no. So he hands her some tissue and claims that it's clean. And I don't know where he pulled it from, because, you're in the parking garage. You don't have anything. Where was it, in your pocket? Like, where was it? But anyway, they talk about the date because I guess he feels like it's going to get canceled because now she's probably not in the mood. And she says everything's still on for later on that night. They, set everything up, same place, but they do bump the time up from 8 to 7 o'clock. So the date, it's confirmed, and Paul, he walks off, and you can hear Fatima mumble to herself, what am I doing? So we go over there to Angela's house, and she's giving Bryce the remainder of the stuff that he left at her house back. So the two of them have a conversation that we done heard 1,000 times, and we really don't have it to do at this point, so it don't even matter. So in walks Fatima, and Bryce, he ends up leaving. So the two of them get to talking, and Angela says now that Bryce has all his stuff out of her house, it's official that it's over. And Fatima was like, oh, so is that what makes it official? Because she still has stuff at Zach's house. And Angela tells her that's because it's not official. So Fatima mentions that Zach had therapy with his mom and brother and that it was really sad. And Angela wants to know if she plans on giving Zach another chance. And Fatima like, I don't know, I'm going out with Paul again tonight. So Angela was like, well, you just said you were sad about Zach. So Fatima tells her she just can't let Zach get away with what he did. And Angela says, well, so you just trying to punish him. Fatima tells her, no, I'm looking out for me and seeing how I feel. And if Zach just so happens to get hurt in the process, hey, it is what it is. I know that's right. So then Angela still asking 21 questions, talking about, well, what if he hooks up with somebody else? Fatima tells her he already has, remember? Ding, 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 you were there. You heard him, didn't you? She's talking about, oh, yeah, right. So Fatima ends up telling Angela that her and Paul are going back to where they went the last time on a date, but she really don't want to be bothered with Belinda, so she asks Angela, can she see if Belinda will be working or not, as she heads off to go and get dressed. So we go over there to Zach's house and we see Nate helping Deja out the car. At the same time, on the other side, Zach getting out the car and telling them stay on their side. Don't be walking Deja over there across his way. Stay on her side of the duplex. So Nate was like, I was just coming over there to see you. And Zach was like, no, you stay over there with her. Whatever y'all got going on, keep it over there. Deja want to know, was Zach crying and what did Fatima do to him? And he was like, I don't have time for all of that. So Deja want to know, has Fatima been served yet? And Nate looked at her like, what are you talking about? Zach told her she need to leave that alone. And she said, no, she didn't spare the rod, so why should I spoil the child? Deja is so silly. And Zach was like, I don't have time for this. So he ends up going in the house. So Nate and Deja, they start talking about Fatima, and Deja's calling her mean and saying she's always threatening Zach and she don't know why he just won't come next door to her. So Nate trying to convince her just to leave that alone. Like, and what's up with all the lawsuit stuff? And she was like, you was there. You saw what she did to me. So Nate, he trying to let her know that she needs to be careful because Fatima works in a law firm. Deja told him that she don't give a damn. She don't give a F, as a matter of fact. So he was like, look, what are you going to do when she trot all your clients out? Tell them about where you stripping that all on the pole. Like, we were trespassing on their property and we were doing some stuff in their jacuzzi. And not to mention, they got it all on tape. So Deja, she thought about it. She was like, damn. So she was like, look, I got a lot on my mind. I got to think about some things. So she trying to go in the house. He trying to follow behind her, talking about let's have a drink and whatever. She had to read him real quick like, look, your wife done left you. You over there sleeping on Tony's sofa. You ain't got no money. So it's giving hell no, I got to go. And she basically closed the door in his face. So Nate, he goes inside the house with Zach and asking all kind of questions like, where you been? Why your eyes red? Zach didn't give him any information and told him stop trying to clock him, like don't worry about it type thing. And he's trying to bring up Fatima. Zach calling him a hater, saying that, you know, you're one of the people trying to break us up or don't want us together. And I don't really know why Nate is so invested. Like, you are a whole married man with kids and you're not concerned with them. So Zach just asking him like, man, what do you want? What do you want? So he says that he wanted to know if Zach wanted to hang out later. Zach told him, no, I don't want to hang out with you. Do you really think I want to hang out with you and you've been trying to destroy my relationship? Like, no, you got to give me some time and I just want you to leave. So Nate told him, I'll leave, but before I go, I just wanted you to know that I tried to have Deja rethink the whole lawsuit thing. Zach told him, look, quiet as it's kept, you probably were the one that put her up to do it in the first place. Nate claims he wouldn't do nothing like that. And, you know, Zach was like, man, I don't want to hear that. Just go, man. So Nate told him that he loved him and he ended up leaving. They're at Angela's house and we see Fatima coming down the steps with her nice red dress on. And they like, girl, you see me? She said, I see you, girl. Don't hurt him. So she get to talking about the club and they found out that Belinda was at work. So Fatima is considering going somewhere else because she really don't want to be bothered with Belinda. And Angela kind of convinces her like, look, girl, it's open mic. Just don't even think about it. I'll come and get dressed and distract her for you. So they get a knock on the door. So they're assuming that it's Paul. So they're like, girl, go over there so he can get the full effect of how you looking, girl. So Angela, she was like, bam. So she opened the door and it's Zach. So Fatima, she dives behind the counter and Angela is like, hey, Zach. Zach says, hey, Angela, can I see Fatima? So Zach was like, Fatima, I saw you. So Angela is like, Zach, she really doesn't want to talk to you. So Fatima was like, just forget it. Like, let him in. So she comes from behind the counter. Zach comes in and he's looking at her like, oh, you look nice. So Zach asks her if she's going somewhere. She tells him that she's going out. So he blurts out, look, I didn't sleep with Connie. Fatima told him, look, you might as well have because it don't matter at this point. He says, why not? She tells him because she's sleeping with Paul. And the two of them are done. I'm like, Fatima, why are you lying, first of all? Like, who does that? I mean, besides Zach, who does that? And not only that, even if you were sleeping with Paul, you got to take that to your grave because That's your business. Let Zach find out what he need to find out on his own. You don't just volunteer the information, even though you lying because he lied. But I'm just saying, girl, take it to your grave. So Zach stood up there like, you really did that, Fatima? She was like, yep, and I'm going to do it again tonight. And Angela comes back in the house lying, talking about, Fatima, your ride share is here, a.k.a. Paul. And Fatima slightly and politely grabbed her purse and she left. So at first, Angela tried to offer Zach some wine, and then she tells him he can leave. But Zach, he sits down. He's just totally distraught at this point. So she sits down and talks to him, and he just tells her how he know he done messed up and how much he really loves Fatima. So Angela tells Zach the one thing that she knows about Fatima is once she is done, there's no looking back. So maybe he should move on. And I don't feel like it was right for Angela to tell Zach that. Like, I don't feel like that was her place to tell him to move on. First of all, it's only been a couple of days. So I think he does have a right to at least try to fight for his relationship. So then he tries to say something about the way he loves her is like breathing or some crap. And Angela was like, but then you try to go over there and have sex with somebody else. He said, I did not have sex with that girl. I went over there to have sex, but I couldn't do it. Is that supposed to make it better? And you are an engaged man? And then he lies and says, it's not my fault because out of nowhere she stopped having sex with me. When did that happen? When did she stop having sex? I thought she just said they needed to slow down. See, this is what I be talking about with Zach when he just does things and act oblivious and act like, oh, I don't know what's going on. Oh, I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to do this. You know what the hell you be doing, Zach. So then Zach tries to put it on Angela, them putting stuff in Fatima's head when clearly the drama is always brought to her in her face. So I don't even know why he's talking about that. So Angela says, don't assume that I think anything. Let me tell you what I think. And she says, I think you're smart. You're handsome. I think you and Fatima make a great couple. But no, I don't want you two together because I don't want her hurt again. She's been through a lot. Zach says, well, she's not the only one that's been through stuff and I don't be trying to hurt her. So Angela says, that's what makes it even worse. So he was like, oh, I know I done messed up, blah, blah, blah. And then she said some crap about, oh, and you need to be a lot nicer to Bryce. Like, girl, what is you talking about? Did you mess up on your lines, Angela? Because Zach said, I thought we was talking about Fatima. She said, yeah, we were talking about second chances. And he was like, yeah, all right. But I'm like, girl, ain't nobody think about no goddamn Bryce. This man trying to get his woman back. So Angela tells him once again that he needs to move on. And Zach says, I'm not moving on. I love her too much. So she said, well, what are you going to do? He said, whatever I got to do. I'm not giving up that easy. She tells him, well, don't do anything stupid. Zach says Fatima is his. He gets up and leaves, and the episode ends there. Ooh, child, it was a lot going on in this episode. Did you guys have your tissue throughout the therapy session? It was rough, wasn't it? Drop down in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts were. As always, thank you for watching. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you on episode 14. Peace.